So, did Kiely Rodni use one of these to break her driver's side window? Supposedly, a device like this should help you break the window, but I don't even know if this device that I keep in our cars can break a laminated window. It also has something here so you can cut the seatbelt. I don't know if Kiely Rodni had one of those in her car at all, her Honda CR-V. But according to a new New York Post article, it was diver Nick Wren of Adventures with Purpose who found Kiely's car and what we presume to be Kiely in it, unfortunately, in 14 feet of water with the driver's window broken and a body in the back seat we presume to be Kiely's. We're going to talk about all that and if Kiely had only turned left instead of right after that party at Prosser Family Campground. Would she still be alive today? We're going to talk about Sammy Smith, her friend, Sammy's reaction to the news, and the quote-unquote witch hunt regarding Sammy, and also Kiely's ex-boyfriend Jagger's reaction to the news. It's horrible to think about how a series of decisions or choices can lead to tragedy. I'm not going to attempt to map out the location where Kiely likely drove into the water. I've seen maps with X's all over them with people claiming this is where she was, this is where she was. The only thing we can know for sure is Kiely's Honda CR-V was found in the location that we see in photos and videos. People in the local Truckee area have been taking great videos to give us an idea of what Kiely might have faced, the darkness, the roads, the scariness upon leaving that little clearing called the Sanctuary near Prosser Creek Reservoir, where Adventures with Purpose was able to find Kiely's CR-V was found only 600 yards from the party. And sadly, her Honda was only 50 feet away from where Kiely's phone last pinged, according to Steve Fisher, the private investigator who was out there, boots on the ground, providing us with lots of videos and evidence and searches. So now that we know from Nick that Kiely's driver's side window was broken, she was most likely found in the back seat, people are wondering, does this mean there was foul play or does this mean there was simply an accident? Today is Tuesday, August 23rd. The autopsy for Kiely should be conducted today, but we likely won't know much about the toxicology results for weeks from now. Will it corroborate what Kiely's friends, especially Sammy Smith, have said that Kiely was very intoxicated? People are wondering and debating on Twitter, and I want you to debate in the comment section, why was Kiely's driver's side window broken? Was she able to somehow break it herself? You know, Kiely's mom had mentioned that Kiely was experienced in wilderness survival training. I wonder if that extended to what to do if you accidentally find your car in a body of water. It was found allegedly flipped. Some people think that means it was pushed into the water. Some people are debating whether a car will naturally flip based on how it goes in. But what really gets me is that if Kiely had simply apparently turned left, it seems, instead of right, she wouldn't have found herself most likely in the water. From the videos I've seen, I can imagine how dark it is out there at night. No warnings I've found about driving into that water. One particular local said that if Kiely had turned right, driven towards the water, perhaps thinking she was driving out of the campground and towards Highway 89, towards the water there's a little steep, maybe something we can't see on the videos from overhead, a little hill that might have been bumpy and taken her right down into the water. Did her driver's side window break upon impact because of the water's pressure? Was Kiely able to grab something, anything, and break it herself? And if so, why couldn't she make it out of the driver's side window? Was she passed out? Did she float to the back, or did she go to the back in a panic because there might have been an air bubble there? What Nick is saying corroborates what we've seen when Kiely's CR-V was towed out of the water. Eagle-eyed sleuths automatically noticed that the driver's side window was broken. They saw Kiely's windows, at least the back driver's side window, appeared to be partially down. They didn't know if it was found in that condition or if Adventures with Purpose had to break something in order to tow the car. Well, now, according to Nick, It was found that way, at least with the driver's side window broken. Was Kiely able to do that herself? Was it a factor of the car going in the water and rolling that broke it, the water pressure, or is it foul play? That's what we don't know. Investigators are still investigating, and people are chiming in with all sorts of opinions. Some folks are saying, well, you really owe Sammy an apology now, you YouTubers who blamed her. And others are saying, hold up, not so fast. We don't really know what happened. It is my opinion that most likely we will find this was an accident. When we're able to see Kiely's blood alcohol levels and perhaps anything else in her system, I believe we will see, because of the conditions, she likely was just trying to get home, and it was so dark and confusing that she drove into the water and could not make it out of her CRV. Now, according to the New York Post, searchers feel that the car did not careen down the steep embankment that buttresses the party site where Kiely was last seen. So somewhere there was a party site. Apparently there was some other type of steep embankment they're referencing, but they don't think Kiely went over that way. They said the car was still found 600 yards from the party, which was held in a clearing of pine trees that overlooks the water. That must be the sanctuary area. The New York Post claims it seems like Kiely's car entered the reservoir from the shores of a lakeside beach. And that definitely looks like the case to me. Even though many people, even locals, were arguing on Facebook and telling everyone, oh, Kiely's SUV could have never entered the water. It would have gotten stuck in the mud and the sand or what have you. Others are saying, yeah, it very well could have just gone right in. And if there is indeed a little hill there, I haven't necessarily seen it, but if she had turned right and if there was a little hill and it gave her car a little bit more momentum, I see how it could have gone into the water. When driving from the remote party site, says the New York Post, a left turn goes back to the campground, but a right turn leads to the beach. It's likely Kiely took a right turn, and that's what I believe too. In spite of all the theories and the hubbub and the controversy surrounding Sammy, I do believe this might have been an accident. And of course, some people, no matter what the investigators come up with as their final answer as to what happened to Kiely, some folks will always likely believe that Kiely had already expired, or maybe she OD'd and maybe someone broke her window and maybe someone pushed her into the water. I'm not ruling that out because we don't know what the investigators will say, but I'm thinking chances are the most simplest explanation is what happened. Unfortunately, Kiely likely drove into the water. And after watching that press conference on Monday from officials who, they were a little humble, they did eat a little bit of crow, but maybe not too much. Officials did say we worked with Adventures with Purpose. We gave them a lot of legwork, a lot of information, so they were able to, of course, help narrow down where the search should have taken place. But of course, folks are wondering, thank God, but how was Adventures with Purpose able to get in Prosser Creek Reservoir at 10:40 a.m. They began their search Sunday, August 21st. That's what Doug Bishop, the lead investigator of Adventures with Purpose, told the news. And only 35 minutes later, Nick Wren was able to detect an object underwater at 11:15 a.m. So Doug Bishop is the 38-year-old lead investigator who spoke about beginning the search for Kiely, and Nick Wren is his partner. The CRV was 55 feet offshore in 14 feet of water. And they did explain, that doesn't mean it's been in 14 feet of water exactly all this time, all these 2 weeks. Cars can shift, the water, the tides. We don't know if the levels were higher at a certain point of water and now it's dropped. So there are a lot of factors that go into it, but that's where they found the car. We also want to mention Jared, who created Adventures with Purpose, and just give all those guys and their whole team all the kudos of being able to find Kiely and offering their help, as law enforcement said, to train others, perhaps before they move on to the next case, to train law enforcement about their sonar techniques to help, if they ever need this type of training, to successfully find others in the water. So you can chime in over this mystery. One person on Twitter did an impromptu little poll. They were saying, since there's no indications of a crash of the vehicle, the driver's side window was already broken, Kiely was in the back seat. Does this indicate foul play likely to you or no? Surprisingly, nearly 55% of the people answered yes, foul play likely. 45% of the people, like me, answered no. So folks are still on the fence. Even though there's no evidence of a crash or anything likely, people still are filling their mind with these nefarious situations. Did Kiely and Sammy get into a car crash and then Sammy tried to hide it, and then did they push Kiely into the water? I've read so many different theories, and we're going to talk about how that plays into why Sammy might have escaped to Montana for a while. What clouds of suspicion should be lifted by the time hopefully she goes off to college. We'll talk about that. At the end, we will watch some of Kiely's ex-boyfriend's tributes to her. Very sad. Jagger Westfall wrote, "You were my entire world and you always will be. I will never love someone the way I loved you. I missed you even when I was holding you in my arms. I could never get enough of you. I promised I would be with you until the end, and I was serious. Long live Kiely." Because Jagger wrote, "I promised I'd be with you until the end, and I was serious," a lot of people are hoping and praying Jagger isn't going to harm himself, and that's my prayer too. I pray that God can really just give Jagger that strength he needs to make it through this tragedy and just hold on and keep going on to live his life, and maybe honor Kiely by going on to live his life and speaking kindly about her, sharing his memories of her, but not in any way going to join her prematurely, if that's what he means. In the midst of all this clearing up confusion, it doesn't help that there are scammers intentionally trying to create storylines that the Placer County Sheriff is just knocking down. One person left a comment somewhere talking about Sammy having a burner phone or 2 phones or what have you. The Placer County Sheriff said that person is a scammer. So I'm glad they knocked down stuff that would only add more confusion. But we don't know if they're going to rule any foul play. Most likely not Kiely trying to harm herself. I did wonder if Kiely was in the back seat because we saw them pull a blue tarp over the back window in order to shield and provide privacy when the CRV was being taken out of the water. But it is still a mystery, and we're going to talk about Sammy catching so much heat that she shut down her Instagram. And I don't blame her in a way. There was plenty of confusion when the news first broke about Adventures with Purpose finding Kiely. Adventures with Purpose had posted to Facebook, "We just found Kiely Rodni. Car is upside down in only 14 feet of water. We've confirmed Kiely is inside. Family notified. Law enforcement on the way. Prosser Lake, only a few hundred yards from the campground. More updates to follow." Sammy Smith had taken a screenshot of that post, and she wrote, "This post is not true. Kiely has not been found." She wrote that on her Instagram and ended up deleting it. People didn't know, why would she write that? She went on to write, "It has not been confirmed whether or not this information is true." So she started backing up from her original statement, calling it not true at all. Sammy wrote, "This post has been made before any of the law enforcement or family has been notified. Law enforcement is going out there now to confirm information. Please be patient as we figure this out further on whether or not this is true. Hashtag find Kiely, hashtag find Kiely Rodni." Someone wrote this reply to Sammy. Someone that's supposed to be so close to the family and Kiely and has no clue. And Sammy wrote, "I've talked with the mother." So it's kind of strange. Some people are thinking, why did she write, "I've talked with the mother," instead of saying, "I talked with Kiely's mom"? Now I understand, let's say if Lindsay was back at Lost Trail Lodge, and I understand the reception isn't great. I'm not sure who notified whom. Even law enforcement stated in their press conference on Monday that they weren't sure who spoke with Adventures with Purpose. They seemed a little bit in the dark, but with so many investigators and detectives on the search, It's not clear how the information was relayed, but we know Steve Fisher was on hand and he kind of spoke about how people were notified, how we've seen pictures of Daniel Rodni on scene, Kiely's dad. So we know, and Kiely's grandpa, I believe, was there too, or nearby, or on his way. So we know family eventually was notified. It's not clear the order of how they were notified, but perhaps Sammy spoke with Kiely's mom, and maybe Kiely's mom didn't know at that point. It's not clear. What we know now is the family knows. Unfortunately, they've issued a statement. They're going to celebrate Kiely's spirit. But Sammy started catching a lot of heat on Instagram. Some people were asking, why would you post this? It just adds more hurt and confusion to those who loved her. They've said the family were told. A true friend wouldn't have let her, knowing she was too drunk to drive. Shame on you. Another person wrote, it clearly says in the post, the family has been notified. It is true, and it's time for you to speak up because now they have evidence. You were the last one to see her alive, and they found her in Prosser Lake and 14 feet of water in her vehicle. This post literally said the family has been notified. They probably just haven't told you yet. They're working with law enforcement. Such a sad outcome. Prayers for her family and friends. Some people went on to keep blasting Sammy in her Instagram comments. Your 15 minutes is up. You don't post saying it's a lie, then turn around and backtrack. Some people just wrote hearts. Another person wrote, it's broken in the news already. They are a great team. We all knew they'd find her. Where'd you go? I figured you'd still be searching. Other folks wrote, they stated family was notified and police are on the way. Another person corrected Sammy's bad spelling. She wrote weather as in the weather instead of whether or not. WHETHER. Another person wrote, time to lawyer up, Samantha Smith. It was pretty bold and confusing of Sammy to out and out dub Adventures with Purpose liars, because Sammy wrote, this post is not true. People are saying maybe she was just in shock. She didn't want to believe it. You know, grief can do crazy things to folks. Others are attributing nefarious intentions to it. And again, I'm still reserving judgment, as I've been doing, until police tell us, yes, this was no foul play. This was simply an accident. Nothing to see here. But I'm wondering if this will follow Sammy to college. A lot of people were wondering if she had escaped off to college, but Sammy planning to attend UC Irvine. In their public post, we know that UC Irvine doesn't start until approximately September 19th. With her being a freshman, maybe she went there early, I don't know. She may have gone to Montana on a brief vacation with her parents. According to Steve Fisher, Sammy had left town with her parents, went to Montana. I did see a video that says Montana on Sammy's public Snapchat, but I don't see a date, so I can't confirm when she was there. Maybe it was to get away because there was so much vitriol being lobbed her way. But perhaps she will be able to leave this tragedy behind her as she moves on to UC Irvine. She wrote, hi, my name is Sammy and I am from Truckee, California, basically Lake Tahoe. I'm fully committed and I will be majoring in neuroscience. So she could go on to hopefully have a great career, a great life, a really smart and beautiful girl. I am passionate about many outdoor and indoor activities, such as climbing, skiing, hiking, swimming, music, and if you ask me to do just about anything, my answer will be yes. DM me on Insta, and she put her Insta, but that's no longer active. And Irvine listed a bunch of hashtags there, college bound, incoming freshman, and all that. If indeed this was just an accident, if there's no culpability, if Kiely made the decision on her own to drink, if at all, imbibe anything or take anything, and no one is found responsible, I hope this can just be a cautionary tale, a warning lesson for people to watch their circumstances, don't drink and drive, and maybe it'll help them put some barriers or something up that'll help others not get confused in the darkness cars driving into bodies of water. Now, San Francisco Gate has this interesting article, how the Kiely Rodni case turned into a nightmarish internet witch hunt. They just go on to talk about some YouTube channels pumping out multiple videos a day, spending hours speculating wildly about the case. It says one channel even live streamed an interview with one of Kiely's friends, a minor who should be protected from, not subjected to, the scrutiny of strangers. I'm not sure which one they're referring to there, but they go on to name theories and TikTok replies and everything harmful, things where people piled on, tagging the sheriff's office repeatedly, and all those tips. The writer ends her article saying, "A missing person is not content. They're not a TV show or a whodunit with a twist ending. Their friends and family are not characters in a melodrama, because this is real life." They spoke about Kiely's friends being teenagers whose lives will never be the same. That's so true. Not knowing what happened to Kiely, those YouTube videos filled with hurtful conjecture ought to be deleted by their creators. It's the least they can do now. That's pretty interesting. That was written by Katie Dowd, the San Francisco Gate managing editor, and I find it ironic. She's writing about this as content for sfgate.com, but I understand her point, and that's one reason I was so hesitant to point fingers. Even though we still don't know what happened, I was hesitant to say, this person is really sus, or this person must have done it. Like, I've read a lot of comments from people all but throwing Jagger and Sammy in jail, and even Kiely's other friends. Without us, really, we still don't know what happened. We're getting more and more clear about what likely happened. But like I told you guys before, I learned my lesson years ago with Shane Carey. Even his strange interviews does not make him guilty. It did not make him guilty of what happened to his fiancée, Heidi Broussard. So the family statement regarding Kiely talks about accepting this sadness cast under death's shadow. The rising sun shines light upon us, reminding us not to mourn our loss, but to celebrate Kiely's spirit. So I think it's a good statement. One more statement I found interesting on Facebook. A local was saying they were a little frustrated. Not that this would have changed the outcome, but the sheriff mentioned they had the boat ramp open and welcomed extra eyes out there. I was told a very different thing when I volunteered to search. I was told to stay out of this area they are searching, outlined on the map they had, to not disturb potential evidence. He wrote, "I am a very experienced fisherman and resident of Truckee who has the capability to side scan and down scan imagery on my boat and the knowledge to read it. I would have gladly went out. I have a friend who scanned all of the boat ramp area at Stampede who would have done the same. Point is, it wasn't welcome, so we stayed out. Again, it wouldn't have changed the outcome, but potentially brought the end of the search and some closure sooner." So that's pretty sad. Despite what the sheriff or others were saying in the press conference about, oh yeah, it was open, people could have searched, we didn't prohibit folks and all that jazz, this local is saying that's not what he experienced. And sometimes law enforcement can be a little prideful. Of course they can't have every Tom, Dick, and Harry, traipsing all over and destroying evidence or anything like that. If there are knowledgeable people who can help, it helps to let them, especially in this instance. Perhaps a little combination of pride. Even though they were a bit humble, something dragged on this case, perhaps longer than it should have, but at least they were very responsive on social media, and I'm sure they did the best they could, and thank God they let Adventures with Purpose come in there, because some cops, if you watch some of their older videos, some cops are so contrary to AWP coming over there because they don't want the cops to have egg on their face. I mean, some people have waited for decades to find their loved ones. They've been told certain things by the local sheriff, and AWP comes in there and finds them just like that. So thank God Kiely was found. Before we watch Jagger's tributes, let's just close with 1 Corinthians 15, 55 through 57. Where, O death, is your victory? Where, O death, is your sting? The sting of death is sin, and the power of sin is the law, but thanks be to God, He gives us the victory through our Lord Jesus Christ. So we'll continue to wait to see how long it takes to get more info. We don't know if it will be this big cover-up conspiracy or if it'll just be a simple accident. No matter what it is, if the cops come out and say, no foul play, Kiely likely was inebriated and mistakenly drove into the water, I know there will always be a small segment of folks who will not believe it. Their minds love conspiracies, and I just love facts, and hopefully we get facts. This can be a learning lesson. I'm sure Samantha probably feels guilty for putting that party together, and maybe they were just being teens, and maybe she was a little confusing with her interviews. And again, I attribute that just to the guilt of, oh my goodness, what should I have done? Monday morning quarterbacking, I should have gone the extra mile to make sure Kiely got home safely. I'm sure Sammy now thinks whoever gave her a ride home could have given Kiely a ride too. They could have spent the night, or they could have stayed at Lost Trail Lodge, or however it could have worked out. I'm sure Sammy's replaying those scenarios over and over again in her mind. We all like to play the what if game. What if Kiely just turned left? What if she had just gone to hot August nights with her mom instead of this party? I don't know. I'm assuming the parties will go on, but hopefully, if parties especially are still had every year in this location, they can be safer. Hopefully kids won't be drinking and driving or doing other substances or attempting to drive in the darkness or staying too late or endangering themselves. I think folks won't forget Kiely, and her death won't be in vain. It will be a big cautionary tale. And I feel it's important for Sammy to forgive herself. If this turns out like I'm thinking it might, just a terrible accident, yeah, Sammy might be thinking, I wish I would have made sure Kiely got home safely. What's done is done. If we truly repent and go to the Maker, the God of all mercies, the God of all comfort, in realness and repentance, He forgives us. I'm hoping if this is simply just an accident, Jagger and Sammy and everyone else, Kate, Mags, everyone who loved Kiely, her family, they can move forward, and even her mom, no guilt tripping. You can't drive yourself crazy with, if only I said no, she shouldn't go to the party, if only I picked her up, if only this, if only that. All those if onlys won't help, but I hope everyone can be able to forgive themselves. No one wanted this to happen, and now that it has, only take forward what's good. Remember Kiely's spirit, how it can help other teens and people in general prevent tragedies like this. Thank God for Adventures with Purpose. I know I've donated to them before in the past, and it's time to donate again because they are proving they really are living a purpose-filled life. Thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned for any updates about this case and others. Take care.
Then we can go. Give me like a couple hours, then we can go.
In my opinion, personally, which means you don't have to listen to my personal opinion, but it's most likely her. And I don't know how to begin processing this. And I feel like I couldn't do anything about it. Just a little PSA for anyone keeping up on the Kiely situation. The search party, dive team, whatever you want to call them, the local police have not confirmed it yet. They're doing their own investigation because it was a private organization. I'd like to release a type of personal statement on all of this. Hear this? That, like, this was an insanely up situation, and it still is insanely fucked up, and I still don't know how to process it, and I don't think I'm ever going to be able to process it. I know that it hurts, and I know that it hurts all of you, and I just wanted to say thank you for everyone that put the effort in and tried so hard to bring her home. It really means a lot to me. I'm sure it means a lot to her too. Thank you. Because she wouldn't want us to sit around sad as all the time. She wants us to be happy, and she wants us to be safe, and she wants us to have a good life. That's all she ever wanted for anyone. I don't want to go fully public with it, like I'm not trying to put this on the news and everything, but I just wanted my closer friends to. And from now on, I want each and every one of you to live the way that Kiely would want you to live.
Then we can go. Give me like a couple hours, then we can go.